In 1945, the United States spent $2 billion to build the atomic bomb in the deserts of New Mexico. In 2026, they're spending 15 times that amount to build something in Texas they believe will be even more consequential. And an adversary 4,000 miles away just figured out it's practically undefended. This is the story of how the most expensive artificial intelligence project in human history became a geopolitical target. And what that tells us about who is gaining power, who is losing it, and why the rules of strategic competition just changed forever. Let's rewind. In January 2025, President Donald Trump stood in the White House alongside Sam Altman of OpenAI, Masayoshi Son of SoftBank, and Larry Ellison of Oracle to announce Project Stargate, a joint venture to build the largest AI computing infrastructure ever attempted on American soil. The initial commitment, $100 billion over 4 years, with $30 billion in the first phase alone. Construction began almost immediately in Abilene, Texas. The facility would house hundreds of thousands of advanced AI chips, consume gigawatts of power, and serve as the computational backbone for what its architects called the future of American intelligence, both artificial and national. The partners were unusual. SoftBank brought capital, Oracle brought cloud architecture, MGX, an investment vehicle backed by the United Arab Emirates, brought Gulf money, and OpenAI brought the models, the software that would run on this cathedral of silicon. The U.S. government offered fast-track permits, energy grid priority, and the implicit promise that Stargate was a national security asset. But here's the problem with declaring something a crown jewel. Everyone else now knows exactly what to aim at. By early 2026, Iran tensions had escalated to their highest point since the January 2020 Soleimani strike. Negotiations over Iran's nuclear program had collapsed completely. The IAEA confirmed in February that Tehran had enriched uranium to 90% purity, weapons grade. The Biden-era diplomatic channels were dead. The Trump administration responded with a new round of maximum pressure sanctions targeting Iranian oil exports to China. And in March, the Pentagon repositioned the USS Eisenhower carrier strike group to the Gulf of Oman. Iran's response was not military. It was rhetorical and precisely calibrated. In a series of statements from senior IRGC commanders and through back-channel signals reported by multiple intelligence outlets, Tehran made clear that any American or Israeli strike on Iranian nuclear facilities would be met not just with regional retaliation through Hezbollah and the Houthis, but with direct strikes against what they called strategic economic nodes on American soil and interests abroad. Now let's be precise about what Iran can and cannot do. A direct Iranian ballistic missile strike on the continental United States remains beyond Tehran's current verified capability. The Khorramshahr 4 has an estimated range of 2,000 kilometers, enough to hit U.S. bases in Qatar, Bahrain, and the UAE, but not Texas. So the threat to Stargate is not a single missile arcing across the Atlantic. It's more dangerous than that. The threat is layered. First, there are cyber attacks. Iran's APT-33 and APT-34 hacking groups have successfully penetrated U.S. energy infrastructure before. The 2013 Bowman Dam incident, the 2021 attempts on water treatment facilities. A data center consuming as much power as a small city presents an enormous attack surface through its energy supply chain alone. Second, there is the proxy threat. Iran-backed operatives have demonstrated the ability to conduct surveillance and pre-operational planning on U.S. soil. The DOJ has indicted Iranian agents for plotting assassinations of former U.S. officials as recently as 2024. A physical sabotage operation against a facility in rural Texas is not science fiction. Third, and most strategically significant, Iran can threaten the supply chain. Stargate depends on advanced chips manufactured by TSMC in Taiwan and packaged by facilities across East Asia. Iran's ability to disrupt shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, through which 20% of the world's oil passes, gives it indirect leverage over the global semiconductor logistics chain. You don't need to bomb the data center if you can starve it of the chips it needs to operate. So let's apply game theory. What does each player actually want? OpenAI and SoftBank want to build and operate Stargate without interruption. Their stated goal is artificial general intelligence. Their real goal is market dominance. Whoever controls the most compute controls the AI economy. Sam Altman has said publicly that Stargate is about ensuring AI is built in America. But it's also about ensuring AI is built by OpenAI. The $30 billion in Phase 1 is not charity, it's a moat. The Trump administration wants Stargate as a dual-use strategic asset. Publicly, it's about jobs and innovation. Privately, the NSA and the Department of Defense see concentrated AI compute as a national security multiplier for intelligence analysis, autonomous systems, and cyber operations. Stargate is, in essence, a civilian facility with military implications. That makes it a legitimate strategic target under the logic of adversarial state planning. Iran wants deterrence. Tehran does not actually want to attack Stargate. What it wants is for Washington to believe it might. This is classic asymmetric strategy. You don't need to match your adversary's power, you need to threaten what they value most. Iran has watched the United States pour tens of billions into a single, concentrated, geographically fixed asset and recognized it for what it is: leverage. Every dollar America invests in Stargate is a dollar that raises the cost of a conflict with Iran, because now there's something new and extraordinarily expensive to protect. And this is where the power analysis gets interesting. Who is actually gaining power here? Iran is. Not because it's stronger. Its economy is under crushing sanctions. Its proxies in Lebanon and Yemen have been degraded by Israeli operations, and its people are restless. But strategically, the Stargate project has handed Tehran a new card to play. By concentrating so much value in one location, the United States has created a vulnerability that didn't exist 2 years ago. In deterrence theory, this is called a cost-imposing strategy, and Iran didn't even have to spend anything to acquire it. America built the target for them. Who is losing power? Paradoxically, the Stargate consortium itself. OpenAI, SoftBank, and Oracle entered this venture as technology companies. They are now, whether they like it or not, geopolitical actors. Their facility requires national security protection. Their supply chains are entangled with military choke points. Their investment thesis now depends not just on AI model performance, but on the stability of U.S.-Iran relations, the security of the Strait of Hormuz, and the Pentagon's willingness to treat a private data center as critical infrastructure. They have built a commercial cathedral in a strategic minefield. The hidden money angle is this. The MGX Fund, Stargate's UAE-backed investor, sits in an extraordinarily awkward position. The UAE maintains diplomatic and economic ties with Iran. Abu Dhabi has been a quiet back channel between Washington and Tehran for years. MGX's involvement in Stargate means Emirati capital is now directly invested in an asset that Iran has implicitly threatened. This gives the UAE both risk and leverage, and it may explain why Abu Dhabi has been unusually active in diplomatic efforts to de-escalate U.S.-Iran tensions in recent weeks. They're not playing peacemaker out of altruism. They're protecting a $30 billion bet. So where does this go? 2 scenarios. Scenario A, the most likely path. The United States quietly hardens Stargate's defenses. The Department of Homeland Security designates it as critical infrastructure, which triggers federal security protocols. Cyber Command assigns dedicated resources to protect the facility's energy grid and network perimeter. The physical site gets layered security, possibly including a National Guard presence. Meanwhile, the diplomatic track with Iran continues to stall, but neither side crosses the threshold into kinetic conflict. Stargate becomes operational in late 2026 or early 2027, but at a security cost that was never in the original budget. The project's economics shift. Insurance premiums alone for a facility now classified as a geopolitical target could add hundreds of millions to operating costs. The AI arms race gets more expensive and more militarized than anyone planned. Scenario B, the Black Swan. A sophisticated cyber attack, potentially Iranian in origin, but routed through third-party infrastructure to maintain deniability, disrupts the Texas power grid feeding Stargate during a critical training run. Months of computation are lost. Billions in value evaporate overnight. The attack can't be definitively attributed, which means retaliation is politically impossible. OpenAI's models fall behind schedule. Investors panic. SoftBank's stock drops. And the world learns a lesson that military strategists have known for centuries. Concentration of force is a strength in offense and a vulnerability in defense. The most powerful AI infrastructure on Earth turns out to have the same weakness as a medieval castle. It can't move. Here's the question I want to leave you with. For 70 years, the United States protected its most valuable strategic assets: nuclear weapons, carrier fleets, satellite constellations, by distributing them, hiding them, or making them mobile. Stargate does the opposite. It puts $30 billion of irreplaceable AI compute in one fixed, publicly announced location in the Texas flatlands. In an era where adversaries can strike from cyberspace, from proxy networks, or through supply chain disruption, is concentration the future of American power, or its greatest strategic mistake? The answer to that question will shape not just the AI race, but the next decade of global competition. Think like a strategist. Subscribe to the GeoBrief.